Dquadrant is one of the most experienced teams building on Cardano. They've been developing on Cardano since the launch of smart contracts and have done such a good work that they've been invited by IOG to work with them on Cardano to develop some Cardano functionalities and just help the IOG development team. Besides that, they've created the Kuber and the Kuber IDE that increase developer experience for Pluto's Haskell developers so much because they are basically a replacement for the Pluto's PAB and the Playground. But besides that, they are available to work with the teams on Cardano to help teams from Ethereum transition to Cardano as they have knowledge from both blockchains. And they have in fact a complete team to be able to design your smart contracts, your backend, your front end, basically everything you need. This is definitely a team you should learn more about because if you're looking to build on Cardano, you should definitely speak with them to get some advice. Listen to our interview with the founder and learn everything about the incredible work developed by this team in this interview. Hello, Ronald. Welcome here to the channel. It's a pleasure to have you here and to learn more about Dquadrant, I would say. And starting off with that, can I ask you what is your background, to share a little bit about yourself and how you got into Cardano and the Cardano space?
Yeah, I can tell something about myself. Thank you for inviting me first. I've been over 30 years already in the software industry. I've been always, let's say, in the technical space. I graduated for computer science. And since that had to do a lot with hardware development, it's obviously also you have to do with software development. So after I finished my study, it was easier for me to go further in software development than in hardware development because there are only a few firms in the Netherlands that are focusing pure on hardware development. I've been always fascinated by technology. And next to that, when I was growing up a little bit more, I was interested in the finance industry. So those two combined basically easily lead to the fact if you have a software company that you're also interested in blockchain. And in 2016, I actually entered the space. I already knew before of Bitcoin and Ethereum, but at that time they were not so grown up yet. So in 2016, it was more logical for me actually to look at opportunities for my company into the blockchain because Ethereum was more grown up and there were basically opportunities to do business on it. I started basically by building a miner in 2016 myself and mined for 3 years Ethereum. That's actually how I gained my knowledge about crypto because I deeply dived into it. I wanted to know how the process is working, what's behind it, and all these things. And I started to giving lectures about that at the University of Twente in the Netherlands. And during the ICO phase, I invested a little bit in some projects. And that's also how I did my research of those projects and bumped in 2017 into Cardano, read the white paper. And since then, I have been in Cardano, first as a stake pool operator, joining ITN, later mainnet. And when Cardano was at the phase basically where there was more substance, I basically raised a new company, specifically goal developing on Cardano, and that I did together with my business partner, who is also co-founder of Dquadrant, and his name is Sandip.
Okay, really cool. So you have a bunch of experience, I would say, in crypto years. That's a lot of experience considering that the space is so recent. And you started getting involved into Ethereum with your miner, and now Cardano almost since the beginning, or at least since it was up for for the people the community to participate.
And actually, my business partner, I got to know him during one of these, let's say, guest lecture events, which I did at the university. I was introduced to him, and he's from Nepal originally, but living in the Netherlands. And he has a double degree in cryptography.
Okay.
And he worked before also with Ethereum, with Bitcoin, and together with two other chaps at the university, we started also a company, but that was more focused on blockchain development, on Ethereum. And we executed several projects together. But it came to the fact that we were doing the most of the work, and those other two chaps, didn't do what they promised. So we decided, we could have started the Cardano business with that company, but that didn't make much sense for us. So we decided to raise a new company for that and do the work ourselves in Dquadrant for Cardano.
Okay, makes sense. So that's basically also the story of how Dquadrant came about, right?
Yeah,
that's really cool. And why Cardano? Why did you choose Cardano for your company and to work here?
Well, we had, of course, all the experience with Ethereum and the flaws that were with Ethereum, and there were a lot of them. And I basically saw in an early stage the opportunity with Cardano because I read the white paper and the rigorous, let's say, way of developing, using also people around the world with knowledge in that space, building up a complete new ecosystem from the ground up instead of piggybacking on some other solution and having the same, let's say, flaws in the system. They were building up something new. And for us, of course, as a company, it would be more interesting because if it's a new chain, there are more opportunities, obviously, if you're early in.
Yeah, you can become an expert almost since the beginning, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I did the front work basically from 2017 till 2020, basically 3 years, gaining all the knowledge of the chain, gaining all the knowledge basically as a stake pool operator, following every, let's say, conversation. And at a certain point, I had to convince basically my business partner to start with me this Dquadrant company because he was used to Ethereum, he was used to Bitcoin, and he didn't know anything about Cardano at all, and didn't know Haskell, so everything was new. So he was a bit rejecting in the beginning. Till I convinced him, there is an opportunity now. If you don't jump aboard, it's going to be quick buy. Yeah. And that's what he decided. 2020, start of it, there's more going on than before. Now it would be time to gain the knowledge and jump on board, and that's what he did.
Okay, very well. But it's cool. You have a very experienced team with not only like knowledge on blockchain and computing, but also like cryptography and everything, which is very nice.
We're building software solutions in general, so it's not only blockchain. So we have a lot of knowledge of different programming languages, different frameworks. All the, let's say, exciting stuff that is happening in technology. First you get the microservices, then you get the cloud computing, then you get machine learning, AI, blockchain. So if you want to be on top, and be an expert, you need to know from everything something at least, and you need to work with it. And that's what we did during those years before we stepped actually in the Cardano space.
And the thing is, as far as I understand, you have quite a lot of experience, I would say, in the Cardano space with Haskell, with Bluetooth, and you've been working with IOG as well, as far as I understand. Can you speak a little bit about your experience, the experience of DQuadrant so far, some of the projects you've worked on, and some of the things you've done and contributed to the Cardano ecosystem?
Before 2020, we already started with an NFT marketplace, developing that. That came out of our interest in the Cardano ecosystem, of course. We joined the Catalyst Fund, and in fund round 3, basically we met with 2 other people who wanted to build an NFT marketplace, but they didn't have any technical experience in building software. So they were looking basically for a team that could help them with that. So we said, well, we take care of that. You take care of the business. And that's basically how it all started. And at that moment, Cardano was not that ready yet. So we had to do a lot of plumbing work, I would say, to make things happen. For example, there was no Plutus application backend. It was in the works. We waited for it, and it never made it on time. So at a certain moment, we had to decide ourselves, well, if we want to work with smart contracts, we have to develop our own solution. And that was a replacement of the PIB, and that it was introduced in 2022 during the 6 months as an open source solution. It's called Kuber API. And that's basically dealing with everything related to smart contracts, wallets, etc.
If you want to learn more about Kuber and the Kuber IDE, then you should definitely check the video above where we have an interview with the founder explaining everything about Kuber and the Kuber IDE and how they can be useful to you, explaining how you can use them, and even a demo with the core developer for the Kuber IDE showing you exactly how simply and useful Kuber can be. Definitely a video you should watch. You were also working with IOG, right? For how long?
Well, from one follows another. So once you're one of the first in the space building a dApp, you get the opportunity to sit on the table, let's say, with the most important people within, let's say, IOHK. And due to the fact that we were developing an NFT plan marketplace and were one of the first, we also had a meeting with Charles about this marketplace and what we were doing. So then we were basically able to explain how our team situation is, because our team situation is a little bit different than most of the software companies, because our developers are located abroad in Nepal, and our management is located in the Netherlands. And this is due to the fact that my business partner Sandeep has ties at universities in Nepal, and it's quite logical for a software company in the Netherlands basically to outsource things because the costs are much cheaper. Yeah. And next to that, the pool of developers is much larger than over here. So we have a very small pool of developers in the Netherlands, and they are very costly. So in order to be able to compete in an open source environment, well, you need to work in a different mode. And since we have always worked with open source, our mode was always, well, we put the work somewhere else. Yeah. And we make sure that we prepare everything ourselves on our end and manage it on our end. And that's from Europe, the Netherlands, where we are located. So me as CEO and Sandeep basically as CTO, yeah, we are both located in the Netherlands, and we are preparing everything related to a project, which is then being executed in Nepal. And Sandeep is basically, next to being CTO, or also the technical project manager. And he is at 3:00 at night, he is awake to organize the stand-up meetings.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, it's normal nowadays, and especially after COVID, it's a normal thing to have remote workers. You just need to know how to coordinate, and it's not an issue as long as the work is well delivered. And
Yeah.
so far.
But since we are working already for many years before that we stepped in the Cardano space, we have a very experienced team of developers who are used to working in this kind of setting and who are able to deliver the products. But like I said, during this talk with Charles, I could explain basically our setting, and he basically also saw that opportunity, of course, of having cheaper resources that are working on certain aspects of the chain. And next to that, of course, we want to give our developers a better life in Nepal. Because if they have work, well, they can take care of their families very well. So that was a story that was very appealing for him. And he said, well, I invite you to be a Plutus Haskell partner for IOHK. And we accepted that with both hands. But he said one thing: make sure you deliver, otherwise I kick you out. And well, till now, we are still working for them. We are currently also working for them. We have done several things. To name a few, we made some blueprint templates. One for an NFT marketplace on basis of the work we have done for our own marketplace. A blueprint for HUSD stablecoin, which was a protocol created by Emergo. And that was basically for people who are starting to enter the Cardano ecosystem to have a reference to get started with certain functionality for their projects. Those were open sourced. After that, we did fuzzo hard fork testing for IOHK, and that was also on basis of our NFT marketplace, because all the smart contracts need to be migrated to version 2. Performance testing need to be done, regression testing, and all this kind of stuff, which needs to be done thoroughly to have, let's say, good outcomes, which you can present that everything that IOHK did related to this migration was functioning correctly. So that's what we did. Next to that, we did the SecP to 65K1 testing, which has to do with cryptographic algorithms, which were added. So that's what we did. We did support for Plutus Haskell tickets for the community. So in Telegram and in Discord, people are basically asking, can you show me a sample? Or we created something and it is not working. Can you help us? We assisted on that and handled several tickets. And next to that, we are currently working on Voltaire. And that has to do with the voting app.
Okay.
We are handling everything related to what is being delivered for that app, and if that's performing correctly, with also the testing, with the voting from several, let's say, personas who are involved. Either it's a stake pool operator, it's a DREP, or it's, let's say, a community member who is voting. All kinds of stuff that is around that voting app, and that is working correctly, that it's performing correctly. We are making sure that is being handled for IOHK.
If you're still here and this video is being interesting, then please drop me a like. Please share this video with anyone in the Cardano community, because they should hear about Dquadrant before building new products, and to get some insights and advice, because this team is always available to help. And of course, please subscribe if you haven't done it yet. I'm constantly making content about Cardano, and if you care about this blockchain, if you care about decentralization, then I do believe this is a channel for you. So you won't regret by clicking that subscribe button, and of course clicking the bell icon as well, so you get notified whenever new videos come out. But let's come back to the interview. Yeah, that's really cool. You have clearly a lot of experience, as everyone can see here from this explanation. I also appreciate how you're putting almost everything you're doing, or everything you can, in open source mode, which I think is very good, because it's a contribution to the community. Anyone can go there, learn, work on top of it, leverage it.
Actually, we have a GitHub repo, which is just github.com Dquadrant, and you can find the repositories there who are related to the Kuber API, related to our testing results for Fuzzle, etc. So that is open. People can take leverage of it, use it for their own projects. And well, we have another project in the works. We've done already a lot of that. It's currently still advertised at beta, but basically the first version of it is out. That's Kuber ID. That's a project on top of the API. And well, that will also be part of open source for at least, I think, 97%. 3% of it is closed source. That's because we did a lot of investment in it and didn't get any support for it. So it's a complete self-funded project that is running for over 6 months already.
But still, people can learn a lot from it, and
that's also a proposal in Catalyst Fund 10. So fingers crossed that funded over there and can continue with it, because making an IDE and making it complete is a lot of work.
we'll approach it later for sure as well, and dive deeper into all those resources. But as far as I understand, as we were saying, you have a lot of experience, and you're also like open, interested, and available to leverage that experience to assist projects in Cardano and projects in the Cardano ecosystem, give some advice, help, see if you can collaborate if it makes sense. Being so, I would like to know, like, what kind of projects would you be interested in, and how do you think you could collaborate and help and share some of your knowledge with them?
Yeah, we are very broad interested in projects who are also bringing something interesting to the table, because for us it is very important to give our developers a challenge. Doing a repetitive task every time, there's no challenge in it. As a company, we like challenges, and that can be a part of a product. Yeah, it can be the total solution. It depends on what the team has for experience, yes or no. We can take the whole thing out of your hands and deliver it basically of your specifications and on your roadmap. That's what we can do. But we can also make just smart contracts or test smart contracts, audit them. So we have a broad range of knowledge within our company. We are working already for many years in the blockchain arena. Have that experience, and that's what we are leveraging, and that's what we are bringing to the table. It can also be a project in Cardano which is related to Ethereum blockchain, for example. As you know, there are bridges already bringing tokens over. Well, maybe there are specific questions from Ethereum teams who have a certain solution and want to migrate to Cardano. We can help them with that, because we have this Ethereum knowledge.
That sounds really nice. Really nice. You can help them with Plutus, Haskell. Is there any other languages you can help them as well?
Yeah, we have other knowledge. We have low-level knowledge like C Sharp, C++ programming, this kind of stuff. Obviously, we are following what is happening currently in the blockchain space. That there's a movement going over to Rust development. So we are following up on that. So our let's say technical people are currently diving deep into Rust to see what they can do with that, and how we can help other teams, because a program language is not just a program language. Basically, like any language, you can speak many of them. If you can be an expert in every language, that's the question. But if you have a good understanding of how things are working in programming language, I think it's quite easy to make the switch. That's what our developers also had to do when they had to make the switch from Solidity to Plutus Haskell.
Yeah. And you can help also like you help with the back end, you help with smart contracts. You have a lot of
Yes,
experience in that. Can you help
yes,
also with the front end and
yes,
also?
yes, yes, yes. We have a quite large team. We have 4 Plutus Haskell developers. We have a UI UX designer. We have
Okay.
three front end developers who have knowledge of different frameworks, either if it's Vue or React or something like that. Doesn't matter. We have the knowledge, and we have 3 backend developers.
This is really cool. I mean, I think for projects, it's really nice if they can already leverage on a team that has the experience, that knows how to work together, that has a complete set of knowledge and skills. You know, they can fast track their development, have less headaches trying to find the right developers.
And next to that, we have some interims. So I told you already, we have ties to the university. So we are organizing there basically trainings, education sessions on several topics, but also on Cardano. And what we are doing is we are picking there the best talents out of it and adding to our team.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good. The team can keep on growing in a
Yeah,
positive way.
and we developed let's say the Kuber API, and we developed on top of that the Kuber IDE, which we haven't talked about it yet. But those are basically instruments for people to onboard very rapidly
Okay.
and get them productive.
Okay. And besides this, you're also heavily involved in Cardano. You've enrolled into Intersect. Can I ask you why did you decided to join? What are your plans there? How do you expect to collaborate moving
Oh,
forward?
Intersect is a way of moving the repositories of IOHK over to an organization that is independent from IOHK. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more run by the community, but of course there needs to be oversight. Yeah, if you are moving just repositories to another entity, yeah, and you're saying, well, open source community, join me, yeah, and go ahead with our repositories and make your changes and commits, etc. It will be chaos.
Yeah. There
Yeah.
needs to be a
So
process.
so there needs to be a process, there needs to be rules, there needs to be guidelines, etc. There need to be samples, there need to be communicated about it so people don't know it. And this process basically is happening right now. There's basically an open source committee, and that's advising basically the OSPO, which is the organization that is basically designing these procedures,
Okay.
and the open source community is advising. And the people that are in that committee in the first phase who are elected are either that teams like ours that contributed heavily to Cardano. That are some people from within IOG who know basically how the current processes are running. Yeah, there's also some people from Emergo are there. But they are basically trying to get this first way of working out and communicated so that this at a certain moment can be taken over by another group, because the idea is basically that this committee is rotating, that people go out and new people go in. So, and that this whole ecosystem of Intersect is basically evolving, because the idea is that it is self-sustaining. Yeah, people are willing to join the Intersect to make Cardano better, contributing their code either to the core repositories or contributing their project code. For us, it's very interesting to be involved with that, because first we have good experience. Obviously, we also want to contribute our open source code. So we need to know how this process is working. Yeah. And next to that, out of that intersects will also come projects. And these projects are basically, well, working like they worked at IOHK. They are putting in front of people to make a proposal on that. So from one end, we are contributing our knowledge into Intersect, And on the other hand, we're getting knowledge back about how this process is working. So this will help us also to make the transition from IOHK to Intersect, because IOHK will still do projects themselves, but not be in charge anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they are not, let's say, the ones who are taking the money out of the treasure for funding of projects.
Yeah, it will
That
be
is more.
everyone.
That is more a community decision to do that.
Yeah, and you can have several different companies like Dquadrant and others also working to develop Cardano, right?
Exactly. And if you have a strong team with strong roots within the Cardano ecosystem, it's a way to get involved and contribute to it. And next to that, also to get something out of it, because we have a team of 11 people, so we want to keep them at work.
Yeah, of course. Everyone needs to get paid to put food on the table, etc.
Exactly. And so the knife is cutting on both ends by participating, but we don't know yet how the outcome will be. There will be multiple participants, there will be multiple software companies will be interested in joining it, taking part of it, making the proposals, of course. And then it's all you will be judged about your history. Yeah. What have you done? What is your reputation? And you can see that now already happening, that they developed a reputation system that basically you can say, well, with my wallet, I'm scanning a QR code, and on basis of that, you can prove that you have been, for example, at all town hall meetings, yes or no?
Oh yeah, that's happening on Catalyst with
Yeah,
with
yeah. Yeah, well,
certificates.
and that's also something that might likely be happening with all the open source contributions in the future.
Yeah.
So you really want to be part of it, and the best will is always be to be the first there. But we were asked. We didn't put ourselves up. We were asked on basis of the work we have done so far and the contributions we have made so far, and we said yes, we think it's important to have, let's say, a governed Cardano by the community and by the community members, instead of having IOHK who is in the lead and basically dictating how things are done.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Thank you, Ronald, so much for being here and for this interview. It was a pleasure to learn more about the Quadrant, learn about Kuber and all these amazing contributions. I think like a lot of people in the community are likely not aware, and as you said, even some proposals on Catalyst, maybe they are not aware that these solutions existed. So I think this is a great video and very important. And of course, any project that is thinking about building on Cardano, definitely they should contact you. I'll leave the link in the description, the contacts, everything, so that, I don't know, you get an opinion, or maybe even a team of developers to assist you in your project, especially if you have new ideas, right? That's what you guys are looking for. Well, thank you. It was a pleasure having you here, Ronald, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you as well for hosting this interview and for reaching out on basis of a Cardano 360 video. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Bye. See you.
Bye bye.
I don't know about you, but I was extremely surprised with the incredible contributions that Dquadrant has made to the development of Cardano, and even how they are making everything open source and widely available to the community, mostly without any kind of costs. I think this is a very interesting approach, and is especially exciting because you have a lot of companies like Dquadrant that are working silently building on Cardano and that don't get the merit and appreciation they deserve by the Cardano community, but that have incredible skill sets that we can leverage. So definitely, maybe instead of going directly to an M Labs to get your Cardano project built, maybe you should talk to Dquadrant and see what they can have to offer, their expertise, or maybe even if you want to just check your smart contracts, do an audit. For sure, Dquadrant will be able to help you and help you deliver something really great. But of course, at the end of the day, you can find all the contributions and development of Dquadrant in the link up below where you have their GitHub in the description. But besides that, one thing that was very important and was mentioned is that Dquadrant will be contributing actively as a member of Intersect. Intersect, that is the members-based organization of Cardano, and one really important organization for the development of Cardano, for the decision making of Cardano in the governance era that is just starting in the Voltaire age. So if you want to know more about Intersect, the amazing work that has been done there, and even how you can participate in Intersect yourself and help make decisions and contributions to the future of Cardano, you can learn everything you need here in this video in the end screen. On my side, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting, and I'll see you in the video about Intersect.